Hi all, and welcome back to the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast with Nick.
And Josh.
And this is our second episode. Josh, how does it feel? Second episode?
Kind of second episode.
Kinda. Yeah, it
Tell
should.
that story another time.
I think we might as well kickstart with that. I was hoping we were gonna start with this.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, go on then.
So you tell the story. Go on then.
What about episode 1?
Yeah.
First time was on my camera, and it was our first time doing this, and we thought we pressed play. We thought we pressed record on a video, but we just took an individual camera, photo, and then 54 minutes later, or whatever it was, we realised it was just a photo.
Yeah, and we laughed it off.
Yeah, we thought we'd go again.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. And then second time round.
Second time was also on my phone, but I take no blame of this.
No, it's not. But
We talked to Marco about that, but it was filming in 4K, which we now know is a bad thing because it limits how much you can film. So again, we film 54 minutes again, and we check it at the end, and it hasn't recorded it all. It's filmed about 6 minutes because apparently 4K films really high resolution, so it stopped filming and when it reached a certain size file. So that was take 2.
Yeah.
And then three worked.
And then take 3 worked.
Yeah.
We have Marco, our friend who works as a professional photographer, so he came up and set everything up. I already managed to break the lamp for today. So we don't have the main lighting, but hopefully the light's not that bad. But yeah, I mean we're still learning. But
that's what we talk about, the process though.
The process is more important than the product.
I learned about 4K in depth.
Yeah.
Good.
So I hope you guys have enjoyed the first episodes, getting to know us, what this podcast is all about, and if this is your first time watching our podcast, this is the entrepreneurial journey. We are, I say, fresh off sort of the corporate life and sort of moved into the startup life about a month ago, full time. Mm-hmm. And all we want to do in this podcast is go through our journey as entrepreneurs. We have we're co-founders in a group travel startup called AmigoGo, and you are also a co-founder in ShopHub, which is a B2B startup as well. So, we're living what is the output of the Great Resignation that's been going on all around the world, with millions of people leaving their jobs, corporate jobs, to go and pursue their dreams and building their own companies. We just want to flesh out, how things are going, what we've learned so far over the last sort of year and a half of doing this part-time with our corporate jobs, and now sort of moving full-time. And as we move into further episodes, we'll definitely start to incorporate a lot more of the status quo stuff that we're doing. So what are we learning? What did we learn last week? What did we learn last month? What stuff did we look at? So this is the whole point of the podcast. Share a lot of our failures, some of our successes, and hopefully some of these things resonate with you guys. So today, episode 2. For us right now, it's really talking about when is the right time to leave your full-time job and pursue your dream of starting your own business. So we're fresh off the boat of accomplishing that, of moving into the sort of full-time startup world, but there was a long period, about a year and a half, where we did it part-time. So I think we have quite a few stories to share and topics to discuss, and a few tips to give out in when to know when to make that move, because that is a big move. There's usually ramifications of your lifestyle, of savings, of going down, time. I think I use the metaphor of like when you take off the wheels, when you start learning how to cycle.
Good one.
So it's a big step. So I think it merits its discussion today.
Roller coaster emotions, and I think people are going through a similar thing. It might be comforting to know that people do go through a roller coaster of these emotions and phases that we'll talk about, no doubt.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, yeah. So I mean, the first question is, I mean, in many cases, this happens. You know, this doesn't happen overnight where you have this great idea and you're able to go full time on it. A lot of times you need to learn, you know, learn how to go on a bicycle with the training wheels. So learn from other people, make money so you can save money and then sort of pursue your dreams. So the balance between that full-time job, corporate job that you had, and doing this on weekends, on, you know, whatever it was, what was the balance like? You know, what was the last year and a half like for you?
Purely kind of workload related. We're talking about kind of how we felt and what led to.
Yeah, but like any aspect, both.
Okay, yeah. I guess it started off with us kind of trying to figure out what we're doing, and then we moved on to a point where we kind of knew what we were doing, ish, and it became a lot more structured, and that's kind of for me what led to that point where you're like, time to go. But for me, it was like a big kind of, it was like the feeling of pressure building, like a positive one, but it was like I could slowly feel it kind of, you know, it wasn't really there at the start. It was like, I know nowhere near enough about this to leave my job and do this. But then you get towards the end, and for me it was like, damn, we can actually do this. Yeah. You know, and then it reached that point where it was really hard to hand in the resignation, the Great Resignation. But but it had to be for me. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty important, because that's an important aspect of taking off the extra wheels, right? Because that comes with confidence, right? As a kid, you're like, oh, I can do this, or your parents will do it for you, right? And then you're like, oh crap, I can do it, right? So for you said like the moment, you know, of like taking the wheels off was having the knowledge and having the confidence of saying, well, you know, I know enough. There's a lot of unknowns, of course. There's millions of unknowns in the startup world and building your own company, but I think at least enough to get started, right? Or to get the first few building blocks in there.
Yeah,
right?
And the analogy works well, because then even when we, you know, when we were ready, you don't just kind of quit your job at a snap. You know, you're committed there. So it was like I did want to go, but I stayed. So it was like the training wheels. I want to get rid of the training wheels. Yeah, but you can't just throw them away straight away. I mean, you can, but we didn't.
And that's I don't know the perfect word, but is it like you have to be self-aware, right, of yourself, and I think going at it from a blind confidence standpoint, I think there are a lot of risks, right? and the power that working in a corporate environment gives you is that balance to decide when to take that plunge, when to take that step, right? So you can take as much or as little time as you want, right? But you always have to be self-aware as to what are the things that I'm lacking, you know, what are the things I need to improve on, and what are the things that I do well, right? And start ticking those off, right? I think we've done that not too long ago. I read I was listening to a podcast with the CEO of Gymshark, who's from your hometown, from good old Solihull. And yeah, he was saying, you know, being self-aware and just like constantly every quarter, every 6 months, just going through what you think are 3 things that you do well and 3 things that you I don't say you don't do well, but that you could improve, right? And we did this, right? And we wanted to be fully self-aware, right? Because even sometimes your subconscious ego can get in the middle of it, right? So writing the things that you think you're bad at, but you're actually good at it. So I don't know, like you can misconstrue it, right? So
were you surprised by any of the ones that I said in either pro or negative camp?
No, I mean off the top of my head, I can't remember them fully.
You remember being surprised?
But I don't remember being surprised. So how we did it, and this is I guess tip number 1 for people is like if you want to do this exercise as well, you don't have to do it by yourself. You can choose a friend, a colleague, a co-founder, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever it is, and just go through, hey, you write 3 things that you think I'm good at, and 3 things that I could improve at, right? In work, in life, in whatever it is, right? It's your character, in your character, and see what comes out, and then try and take some sort of active goals to improve those things, right?
Yeah, I think the challenge with it is having to accept that you're going to get some criticism.
Yeah.
You know, and just kind of saying, just lay it on me.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely the best thing for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
it's
exactly.
a good exercise. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that's really a good exercise in being self-aware and not being blindly confident. You know, take your time. If you're in the corporate world, it's a great playground to learn things, to learn different roles before you actually take that plunge, and to also meet mentors and people that will help you succeed in the future, right?
I wonder what would have happened if we'd have done this earlier, if we'd have made the jump earlier, perhaps on like release 0.1, you know, when we kind of thought we're ready-ish, but we didn't obviously go through with it, and we stuck at it for another year till near next release.
Exactly.
Do you ever wonder about that?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, so to the viewers, we're about to launch our app in a couple weeks, the AmigoGo app, but we actually launched for the first time in January of 2021, so just over a year ago, and there were many issues with our first release that we just hadn't thought of. I mean, the most obvious one was it was built on Swift, so for iPhone users only, and our app is built on the construct of a group being able to plan and book a holiday. So say there's 3 or 4 people in that group. If only one person has an Android phone, that kills that group, right? So
yeah, well, one of many things.
So that
we
was
didn't have
one
a marketing plan.
Yeah, we didn't have a marketing plan. We didn't have a go-to-market plan.
Yeah.
We didn't even have social media pages.
Yeah.
We just built a product and thought it was gonna work, right? So we were blindly confident because we're both in sort of product. We were in product roles, and we still screwed that stuff up.
Yeah, but like really, that was the best thing that ever happened to us, because it gave us a chance to do the UX, UI. We learned that. The marketing stuff, we learned that. And now on the next time around, it's like the product stuff to me is kind of, we know exactly what's going on. We can focus on the marketing and the growth, which is cool.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That was that blind confidence, right? Of we, you know, and then once it just everything tanked, right, after like a month or 2, that we were like, well, no one's really downloading it, and we don't have anything prepared. What are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah. So I think that was such a big eye opener in like, we need to stop, recalibrate, learn, take this year to learn. And then we never really talked about like, okay, this is when we're gonna resign, right? It was kind of like, so what was it, like Q2, March till June, we got Mars on board, our UX designer. He helped revolutionize sort of all our wireframes for the MVP. And then on the summer months, we started getting partnerships with the likes of Skyscanner, and then we started, we had that going well. And it was still wireframes, and then we started with marketing and social media and all that stuff, and that was literally from the ground zero, just learning everything, how to do paid ads on Instagram, on TikTok, on Pinterest. And over the last 6 months, I mean, we've learned so much, you know, and I think, you know, and again, there we were testing in like with £2 ads, right? So I think there's another tip, is like, don't blow your money before you know, with that blind confidence of, I'm gonna put everything on the line because this is gonna work. No, just there's so many buttons and things that you can change in an ad on Instagram and this and that. You gotta learn what works, what doesn't, what content works, video, carousel, one image,
messaging channel,
all of that. And by no means are we proficient in it, but I think those what 3 4 quarters gave us, and then the last part was metrics. Now like strategizing for a startup, right? So what are our goals for next year? What do we want to achieve? Sure. And really starting, and then so having that visibility, because we have Mars on board and we have developers and we want to bring on more people, so we had to have a structure in place, right? But all those things really, it started to tick then, right? And our go to market, all of that stuff, it started to tick and say, wow, I'm not blindly confident now. I'm really more confident of at least how we're gonna get started. Once we launch the app and we've got our plan, it's all gonna go to shits, right? But at least we have a strategy, we have a plan in place, and we're executing on it.
Yeah.
Changes will always happen, but any successful person will tell you that you gotta have a plan. And we didn't have a plan last year. It was like, oh yeah, we'll deliver this product, and here you go.
I mean, thank God we didn't spend loads of money on marketing.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Yeah. And I mean, an interesting point on this one as well was when we reached the point where we were like, we're going to build this, so let's hire developers, and we were a bit more learned then, right? So we kind of went through various different development houses. What we're going to go for? We're getting quotes for like 50 grand, etc., etc. And then I think we decided, like, we're both in product, so we should be able to have an influence and have a say. And we went with a lower cost alternative. Let us keep bootstrapping, which is what we want to do. Yeah, that was an interesting point as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. So I think that's one key point of, even what are which is kind of the next question I wanted to lead into, which is, what are the trigger points for you and myself that really led us to understand, like, okay, we're ready now. Like, this is the time to, resign, and I think I've got enough learned. So we talked about the knowledge base, right, and the things that you've learned and can take forward, right, and having an executable plan, whether it's gonna completely fail or succeed, you gotta have some of a plan. But are there, in your opinion, are there other trigger points, other triggers that can attribute to sort of shifting from working in corporate to moving to starting your own company?
It's an interesting one. It's not an event for me. It's kind of the amalgamation of everything. So, I mean, I read a lot about startups as well, so it's kind of knowing-ish what needs to be done. So then I knew you need to get your product right, you need to get your marketing right, you need to get your pricing right, you need your business model right. And then we kind of went through so we're going to have a product on the market, and we've been through validation testing, so we know it's good. Yeah. We've tested our marketing, so we know how to reach people. We know people will download. Yeah. We know that our business model works. We've checked it with people. We've done the planning into the future. So I guess it's that, I could see the end to end then. Yeah. Because before it was like, we'll get a product out there and it's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's.
But now I think, how about you?
Yeah. That's like the executable plan, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and every kind of source that I read after that just made it more concrete. Like, we have got everything. That is everything generally. Yeah. Like, we don't know,
or at least 75%, right? Yeah. Or 80%. But I think two things for me. Time. So I think once we started to, so last year, as we said, we went from this crash and burn, thinking this was what you had to do, and we've missed out so much. We did like the 10% worth of work. There's like 90% left.
We didn't do that very well.
Yeah. And then all of last year we went step by step, which was completely the right, for me, the right way approach to looking at each problem, of how we failed, being self-aware of, like, this is where we failed. These were the 3 things we failed, and this is how we're going to step up and fix those things. And we looked at them one by one, right? And as we got through each and every one of them, and then those became part of our status quo, like UX, UI design. So for every feature now, we start doing workshops on how the wireframes are going to look. What are the features? For marketing, we have our weekly cadence of creating social content, paid ads, organic, content,
we've experimented on what works and
exactly. But you've built the foundations of like, and understood, what are the things that you need, repetitive tasks that you need to do moving forward, and how you create a plan moving past that. And I think for me, once you started to tackle 1, 2 of these areas, 3 of these areas, I started to scratch my head and say, wow, okay, I guess I can do this part-time. Because you can build a product part-time, working like at night and on weekends and but then there's all the rest, right, that makes it a full-time or 2 full-time jobs, right, in one. It's non-stop, right? And that's when I realized, okay, this isn't going to be successful unless we put both our feet on the ground and go for it, right? And my phrase all the time was, even when I resigned, was 90% of startups fail. So if I do this part-time, I'm setting my odds even further from that 10 percentile, right? So I have to be genuine, and I have to try and be part of that 10% that's going to succeed, and I'm not going to be able to do it part-time, right? So at some point, but I think that doesn't come alone, right? You still have to learn, right, and be self-aware and confident that you've learned enough and failed enough before you think you've got an executable plan, right?
And didn't you? I had a really intense, job in my corporate life. I had to be fully switched on, and towards the end, it was like my attention is vying towards AmigoGo, and I just felt kind of guilty that I can't put my all there going forward, and I couldn't imagine keeping it there. Like, it was kind of a, this is just something I've got to do now. That's how I felt. Yeah,
it keeps you up at night.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the second one, I think there is some rationale to money. I think everyone has their perspective of it. I think I was always brought up with sort of, always having a plan with money, and I think for me it was the last couple years or whatever, where I knew that I knew that it was getting closer to the point where I wanted to do this as for a living. And so I had to put myself in the best position possible financially to be able to survive that period, right? So we're still bootstrapped, right? Everything comes out of our accounts, and I think for me it was building that savings account that I could live off, and I could invest in the company for a period of time, right? And I think there's no science behind how much you should have or how much burn rates you need to preempt for, but for me, my cash savings can get me anywhere from 12 to 24 months, right? So it also gives you that peace of mind a little bit of, hey, things don't have to happen all of a sudden, right? You don't have to go get an investor or this and that. No, calm down, one step at a time, right? That's how we always did it. I was talking to like an investor group the other day, and they asked me, what would you do if you were oversubscribed, right? So we're looking for 400K at some point this summer. And I say I wouldn't want it. And you said, okay, why is that? And I said, well, if we were looking for a Series A type funding, where we had a product market fit that we knew exactly, we've had X hundreds of thousands of the same type of customers that keep coming back, and they're repeat customers and they love us, then I would oversubscribe, because then I know that my marketing is really an investment, right? And then I can 10x it or something exit, right? That marketing. If I put 10,000, I'm gonna get 20,000 back, or if I put 10,000, I'm gonna get So if I put 100,000, I'm gonna get 200,000, right? So then that makes sense. But as in a pre-seed, if you're oversubscribed, you're just gonna blow through money in what could be the wrong target market, right? So we have our city breakers, we have our target market, and we could be completely wrong. You know, and 6 months down the line, you've blown through 800,000, let's say, double what you've asked for.
Yeah. Makes
For
sense.
no good reason, right?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But I guess going back, that was a bit of a tangent. But I think going back, I think time and money, those two things, you know, being able to understand what roles and activities you actually need to pursue and focus on. Once you start to really look at that and really look at all the variable, all the work that needs to be done in a startup, then that will open your eyes and really say, crap, this is you know, as much as, you know, you can work like Elon Musk 16 hours a day, I don't think you can do both and succeed and be in that 10th percentile.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
secondly, having some sort of recognition of money, right? Of this is how much I spend on a monthly basis. This is how much I make. I could save up and do other things to make some money, and this will get me 6 months or 12 months or whatever it is. You gotta have that plan, right? Of how long can you survive for with that money without investment, without succeeding, without revenue, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, you're a little more planned on me than that one, but mine was basically pay off all of my education and 20s holiday debts, and then try and save a little bit for this.
Yeah.
You know, I did have to kind of calculate ish when I predict we'll get revenue. I don't have as much of a cushion as you do, but you know, I'm glad that I don't have those debts. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be going into this with debts.
Oh no. Yeah.
With
No.
interest being taken off every month.
Yeah.
That would be.
But that's why I said. I mean, like for every person is different, right?
Mm.
That's my way of looking at it. So, but yeah, I mean, to each their own, right? But you have to have some sort of a plan, right? So you were predicting potentially when you could start to get some revenue, right? That's, you know, I think that is still somewhat of a plan, right? To
Still a guess.
It's still a guess, yeah. Just like
Guesstimate.
just like how much I spend and how much I will invest in the startup, right?
Yeah, and
You know,
when
so
is the product going to be ready? When
exactly.
a lot of variables. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like this is the second episode, and again we're talking about emotions and feelings, but you know, I think that's it's for a lot of people it's and for us as well. I'm sure it was. It's a daunting experience, the one of resigning and going into this abyss that is the startup world, right? So, you know, what was your feeling? What were your emotion? What was going through your head when you actually resigned?
On the actual resignation, yeah, that was the toughest bit of it all, because Deloitte had been, you know, great to me. But I said it's just something I had to do. I'd kind of been holding it off, I think, kind of resisting that. It's something I need to do, because that just made my career, you know, my corporate career.
Yeah.
But you know, the feeling was that strong that I could say goodbye, even though it was completely, you know, against what I wanted to do initially.
Yeah.
So it was tough. Yeah, that was definitely the toughest part of the whole thing for me.
Yeah.
Same for you.
Yeah, I cried.
Yeah.
I cried, and I told my boss, and she is just an amazing boss. You know, I think when I interviewed for her for that opening and product, I said I always want to be outside of my comfort zone and just keep on learning. And she did just that. For like 3 years, she just always kept putting me outside of my comfort zone, different products, different things, different, you know, customers, and it's just made me grow so much and like learn so much. And she treated all her team like family, right? And even up to our head of product, she was amazing, and sort of we had a good relationship, and I think it was just like a one big family, right? So that was for me. I knew I was doing the right thing, but it killed me to actually say those words and part ways. It felt like I was saying bye to my mom, like and so that was definitely tough, but I think inside of me it was kind of that relief, and I cried, and I went off camera, and that was it. And then but then I think after I left the call, and yeah, I still sort of stopped crying and went outside for some fresh air, and then I felt amazing, because I felt this like weight lifted off of me, right? Like I've done it, like there's no turning back now. This is
tearing the band-aid off is the phrase.
And it was just like you could finally breathe, right? And you're just like, wow, like it killed me to do it, but this I know exactly that this is the thing that I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Strange, you get so attached to a corporate. Like you say corporate life, but I guess it's the people. I don't know. There's probably some research about it, but it's probably maybe it's not the work you do or the company, but it's the people that have been so good to you and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. So what's like one tip or one thing you can tell the viewers about that experience, because like a lot of them will be thinking, even from a perspective of time, money, knowledge, having an executable plan, being able to fail and learn and all those things. What are some of those, like a tip or something that you can tell someone or some of our viewers about taking that step?
Well, I mean, when we put it like that, it's like a list of things to be ready.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it wasn't. It was more of a gut feeling that all these things are sorted, and I didn't really realize it till like looking back at it retrospectively. So for me, it was kind of like a gut feeling, but definitely don't jump the gun, and probably always hold on for a little bit longer before doing it. And then if you still feel that way, and you still checked everything, you still feel that way, then maybe just the time is right.
But listen to your gut, I think.
Yeah, I think
that's what I heard.
Yeah. Did you?
I like that.
I think I left the book here over there. Someone called Blink, and it's about like making rational decisions and kind of small decisions, like should I close this laptop? That's a decision you make in your mind. But big ones like picking a house or picking to do this, it's you kind of have to trust your gut feeling, because your body senses so many variables.
Yeah. No, I feel and I completely agree with you. I think the list that we're talking about today is hindsight, right? Is being able to retrospectively think back and look at those things and say, oh, that's what happened, right?
Yeah. I mean,
and that's why we do this, right? This actual podcast. It's to help the viewers as well to learning a few things, but it was also for us to really be cathartic and talk about what we've been through so far.
And then if the viewers can listen to these things and be like, oh, actually, shit, you're right, my finances aren't quite right, I might hold on and get that in order, then value given, happy
make a
days.
plan. So that would be my tip is my spreadsheets are quite simple, but I do have quite a few spreadsheets on, like, okay, this is the plan. This is how you get there, right? So along with the yearly goals, the targets, the things that I want to achieve, for the last couple of years, it was always like saving, right? So okay, invest, and it was diversifying in different things, whether it be watches, stocks, premium bonds. Savings account, whatever it is, list it all out and make sure that I want to get to this X target by the end of the year, right? And so all I'm saying is, like, have a plan for these things, because if you don't have a plan, you're pissing in the wind, right? And you can be successful, you can make it. I'm not saying that this is the only way to succeed, but I'm saying in most cases, if you have a plan, even if you fail that plan, you can readjust and on that plan, right?
Yeah. And even though it don't sounds like we're contradicting each other, but we're not, because even though I went on gut feel, I still had a plan. I still had to have a plan to do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So this whole process, of what we've talked about today. Taking the wheels off.
Mm.
So does it happen instantly, or is it? I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but I kind of want to reinforce the point. Does it happen instantly, or does it happen over time? That gut feeling, that ultimate gut feeling that that you're gonna go out and do this.
It's definitely the process. I don't know if that's where we want to get to. Not purposely, but it always comes back to that.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It is a process. It's
Yeah.
not an event. Something I read recently was like,
Mhm.
it's the process is the most important thing, not the event in time.
Yeah.
And that is so true about this scenario.
Yeah. No, exactly. And it's take your time in the process and take the process to learn from it, right? And take that process time to fail,
Yeah.
and learn from it, and do what we're doing right now. We would be doing this at a pub and talking about what happened over the last 3 months, what happened over the last month, and say, okay, these are the things we need to fix, and then we would fix it. And now we're doing it in front of a camera, right? And just saying, these are things that we've learned, right? But talking through them, and if you failed, then find the problem, the root cause, and try and find a solution for it, right?
Very true.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you can do that, you can at least always have a plan after the plan, right? And be able to pivot.
In theory, if you do that, you will always get there. As long as you don't bet all your money on one iteration or one pivot, then do it, fail, learn it, do it again. You can keep doing that in theory until you find the
so
method.
So this is like, there's no right answer now. I know that because I don't even know that, but I think I was thinking about how this process, right, which I actually called Purgatory in my notes. It's this process where you're in, working in a corporate environment and working overnight, on weekends, on your startup. That's kind of your purgatory, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long does that last? I mean, do you think there is a minimum and a maximum time where you have to make a decision, or what are your thoughts on it? Because like for us, we started the company, I always get this wrong, July 5th, 2020?
I think so, yeah.
July 5th, 2020. So we did about a year. Our purgatory was about a year and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's the right amount, or do you think it happens even within a couple months? Like, what do you think is the right time frame to have the wheels on? Because a lot of people will be in this situation as well and can't pull the trigger, right? And maybe they've been going at it for 3 years doing this part-time and with their corporate jobs, and they're thinking, well, when do I pull the trigger?
Well, I mean, our purgatory was, the first part of it was when we were still happy, doing the corporate jobs, and we were kind of doing bits on the side and trying to figure stuff out. And then it got to a point where, we kind of realised we can make this work, kind of thing. And that was the more difficult purgatory.
Yeah.
I mean, timeline-wise, I guess it depends on what you're doing. If you want to do a startup that's a service-based business that is what you do today, then I imagine that's a much less lead time.
Good point.
But for us, where we had to learn marketing, learn different facets of business and not just products.
Yeah.
It's
Even if for a service-based company, you still got to market yourself.
True.
But yeah. But agreed. I don't put you on the spot, but I don't think there's a right answer, right? I think that's the thing, and I think it goes back to your gut feeling, right? It's when it becomes that gut wrenching feeling that there's no other way, and then yes, you can associate the list that we talked about, right? Time, money, knowledge, and an executable plan. Those 4 things can also will make that gut feeling even more, bigger, right? Stronger. But ultimately, it's growing that gut feeling to say, yep, this. You wake up one morning and you're like, right, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna go into this.
But interestingly, though, like we loved our jobs. Right?
Yeah.
But if people don't love their jobs, maybe that gut feeling comes along earlier, and it's not actually that kind of gut feeling of I'm ready, but it's just I want to get out of it.
Yeah.
Might be a different one. Something to
to
ponder over.
But I think to everyone out there, just listen to your guts and and also try and look at those aspects that are really important to you, time, money, knowledge, executable plan, because those things go a long way to giving you that confidence and that gut feeling.
Like a "Are you ready?" checklist.
Are you ready checklist? Yeah.
Patent pending.
What's
next?
Well, we're coming close to the end, but I think like this is again like an emotions based question, but it was, I think we're just at the start of this journey into the startup world, and as co-founders of a startup, we both know the statistics of startups. 90% of startups fail. Do you think going into this you are scared, or that keeps you up at night, that we are more than likely of being in that 90 percentile versus that 10 percentile? Do you think about it?
No.
Do you not think about it?
No, I never think about it. I
What's your thought process? What do you think?
I mean, I assume it's gonna work. I guess there's logic behind it in that we have we've been through a lot of process, like a lot. We failed a lot, and we have been through a lot of it. We haven't just jumped in, because if we'd have done it, if we'd have just bit the bullet on the previous release, then we probably would have failed then fully. Yeah. But because we've kind of been through that and a lot more, we've learned a lot more. I just feel chances are good, and maybe I'm just overly confident generally, but I don't really think about it. And if it were to fail, then I would look forward to the process of looking for, let's go and solve a problem, let's go and validate it, let's go and build something, let's go and test it, let's go and, I love that stuff. I would, if I was told I have to do that all over again, I'd be like, cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you've got to live for that. You have to be in that mindset that failure is a good thing, right? It's because that's a learning, right? You put it into your brain. Now next time you do that, you know the signals of when that's going to happen, right? Or why that happened. So always be positive about the failures, even as hard hitting as they can be. You just always have to find the positive in them.
Yeah. Does it worry you? Think about it, because you mention it quite a bit, but do you actually think about it day to day?
No, I enjoy it because I don't know, I always like the underdog story, right? And I always like to think myself as the underdog. So I like the challenge. It's like, let's go for it. Yeah. Let's go for it. I'm ready. I don't like, even when we talk about competitors, right? Oh, we've got so many new competitors in our space. I'm like, oh, that's great, because that validates that there is a market and there is a problem and there is a need for this type of product or service.
True.
Right? And it's like people, you could also look at it from the other side, right? Which is, holy shit, they're gonna steal our business. We're gonna. You could look at it that way, but for me, it's always okay. Let's give it a go, right? As an underdog, right? And hey, if we fail, all right, either we pivot and keep pivoting and until your money lasts and you can keep on doing this, and worst comes to worst, then there's plenty of other options, right? And we will have learned so much that no other job, no other company could have ever given us that. So for me, it's the money is in the mind, right, and in the knowledge. And right now we're learning so much that even if it failed, we've made a lot more than money. We've made mental notes and mental knowledge that can't be translated into money.
Even if it all went shit today, then I still wouldn't kind of change anything, apart from obviously decisions that led to it failing. But the learnings and the time away from corporate life have just made it worth it 100,000 times.
Hell yeah.
But with that, and caveat, if you do that but you spend your life savings and over 100 grand, then you might start to feel bad. So just have that.
But don't you think you definitely feel bad, but I think we've done this for full time for a month now. I feel like I've learned over a year's worth of information, you know, and it's like imagine going through the next year or 2 years or 3 years of this.
Yeah.
Like don't you think that is worth more than a 150 grand or 100 grand or whatever X grand paycheck
Yeah.
a year?
You're right. Yeah.
You know, so I think it would obviously sting losing all that money and failing, but I think over time you would see that, hey, what comes next if you have to go back to corporate life, if you have to do this, if you say, hey, I'm not built for this, but I'll help other startups that have this or that.
Or a skill that
you're way more skilled than you thought you were.
Yeah.
And
or perhaps you pick up along this journey that you love the marketing side of things. You're like, what the hell?
Exactly.
I'm gonna go and be a freelance marketer.
Yeah.
It's always an option as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be a developer next.
We need it. I was gonna say no, Karen, I forgot it.
No, I mean I think this was a good podcast. I think we're starting to circle back to what we started from, but I think we've made some solid points and opened our eyes a little bit on this, you know, what is taking the wheels off from your bicycle and cycling away through the 90 percentile and in the 10 percentile region.
I suppose you said it was 95% failed.
No. I'm not. It's like I'm not. Was it Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother? He's like 78% of women. No. I always say it's 90%. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure the stats speak for themselves.
The number changes as you get more confident.
Yeah.
In a few months, you'll be like
2%
of startups fail.
0% of startups fail. No, you see, I would be more scared with that because there would be an obvious expectation of success. Like, let's say like 10% of startups fail and 90 succeed. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, holy shit! My mindset would be more scared because then you're not the underdog, you're the overdog, right?
You don't want to fall in that 5% or whatever.
Yeah, in that 10. Yeah.
We say 90%. Okay.
But I think being in that, you know, the 90 percentile that fail and 10% succeed, you're the underdog, right? So
It's a nice challenge in itself.
Yeah, so that's my mindset, I guess.
You know, we're talking about when you do it, you don't want to blow your life saving, that conversation.
Yeah.
But if you do it right, not to say right, but if you do the lean startup approach, which is an approach, you shouldn't have to spend all that money before you get to that point.
100%. Right? But I think one of the biggest reasons why startups fail is because, or at least to say, is because they run out of money, right? And I think there is something to it, right? There may be some false expectation, right? Or there may be some false signals, right? You could, you know, it's not as straightforward as you think, right? It's not like, okay, we have 100 customers that are similar, right? Okay, now let's 5x our investment in marketing into this group, and that was just a fluke, right? The market fit was actually baby boomers, it wasn't millennials, and you've gone all after just 100 customers, you've gone all in on millennials. Right. So I think it's that's why it's not a straightforward game, right? Or everyone would play it, right? But I think you have to understand the market, and you have to understand what is that trigger point, right? So we do the whole TAM, total addressable market, which we will get into. We can get into those in different episodes as well, sort of going through how you create a pitch deck and stuff like that. But you then go down to the point where you have an obtainable market, right? And you've broken it down, right? And that within the next 3 years, we want to accomplish 2% of that serviceable obtainable market, right? So for me, those are the numbers that I will look at to say we have hit product market fit. And then it's like as much money, as much investment as we can get, we'll get, because we know that we can get that X amount of revenue from that market, because that 2% of that market is about 3 million in revenue, right? It's not 100 customers, you know, that's 100,000 customers, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
I might be over constrained or primitive in that number. You know, it might not have to be like 100K customers. It might not have to be 3 million in revenue, but I think a lot of startups will go and after 100 customers say, "Yep, we found it. We found the solution," and just blow it all out. I think you need to have a plan of, you know, when is the right time to go, not all in, but where you can oversubscribe on investment, right? When you've got that confidence that you've hit product market fit.
Yeah, there's tests you can do. You know, there's metrics you can get back to kind of give you a view like, yeah, we've made it to product market fit.
Yeah.
It's not always a gut feeling, is it? It's that there is generally a kind of X out of 10 type number.
Yeah.
At least I've got some examples from some readings.
For sure.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Anything else on the agenda today?
No, I think we're gonna go off to the pub now.
Right.
Have a couple beers. But so I think this was a really good episode. I really enjoyed talking about this. I think it's also because it's so fresh in our brains and we've just been through it. We've been through the cycling with the wheels for a year and a half, but the actually taking off the wheels is quite recent. So I thought this was actually a very good episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. But next week, what we want to do is, or next time we film, we'll do the steps to actually starting up a business in the UK. So we'll do in the UK because that's where we are and that's what we know. So from going to company house so it'll have a little bit more structure than just a sort of a conversation. We'll plan it out, but I think giving people that aren't founders already and aren't you know, today was more for those who are already founded a company and might be part-time, might be doing it on the weekends or whatever whilst working on their corporate jobs, whilst this is more around people who have, next week will be more people who have an idea and maybe have no idea on how to get started.
Right. Yeah, that'll be important because not just the kind of financial security that you get with that, and we'll talk about this in the episode, but also I think it's really important because it's your first kind of like commitment to the idea. I love that thought of, you know, I'm making a commitment to the idea. But we'll talk to that stuff in the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure having you guys. Not you. You're annoying as hell. Yeah. No, it's been good. Like and subscribe to our channel. We try and post every 2 weeks.
If we figure out the editing.
Yeah.
But we got it today.
Yeah, hopefully we pressed play on the video and not the picture.
Like, I'm
genuinely scared.
Yeah, like, I think that one of these cameras would have failed. It's just the data I've gathered.
Oh my god.
That's what I'm going to expect.
Oh man. Alright, well we're going to check. Hopefully you guys all get to see this episode. But yeah, thanks for tuning in and until next time.